So today we're building a platinum R&B track using only FL Studio native stock plugins. We strip away all the third-party bloat to prove that platinum grade R&B lives within FL Studio native toolkit. We engineer lush citrus pads, sculpt crisp drums with FL Studio limiter, stacks soulful vocal chains only using stock effects. It's about maximizing internal routing to achieve that expensive industry standard Bryson Tiller sheen. Okay, you don't need $1,000 plug-in bundle to produce a Billboard charting R&B hit in 2026. I'm stripping away every third-party tool to prove that FL Studio native stock plugins can deliver that expensive platinum grade studio sound. Just watch me transform basic citrus plaids into lush, soulful textures that rival away high-end synths. Okay, so check this out. We right here inside of FL Studio. I think this is 2025. I don't really know which version this is, but we just gonna basically be using stock plugins today. So I'm gonna just let you see my workflow and what you can do to copy that. So this is basically synth making 101. So if you hadn't seen how to make a beat 101, go check that out. I might put it in the description, but you can find it here on the channel, IQ Music. So again, what we're gonna do is use stock plugins. So everything today I'm be using is gonna be basically stock FL Studio plugins. So I got a nominal amount of plugins, plus I just did a little cleanup. So what we're gonna do is just choose a couple to start with. Now, if you don't know anything about FL Studio plugins, you might want to go over here to the Flex. The Flex, since my last FL Studio rant, they released a lot of different updates, including some things that you can get for free inside of the Flex. A lot of times, if you don't have third-party plugins, you can just use something like the Flex, stack it, you know, do a lot of different things. I'm gonna show you today. It goes along with several other videos that I've showed in the past about how I create sound within FL Studio. Now, what I like to do is always start with a beat, you know, unless I'm over here sound designing. So we're gonna start with a beat, but I just want to show you, start with the Flex, then we're gonna open up probably DirectWave, and of course you can call this the grandmama Citrus.
Are you tired of the music industry's games? Ready to take back control and build the success you deserve? Surviving the music business is your tactical step-by-step guide to outsmarting the system, harnessing the power of digital marketing, forging an unstoppable support network, and developing an unbreakable entrepreneurial mindset. Stop letting the industry hold you back. Unlock your true potential and make your music dreams a reality with the transformative secrets revealed in Surviving the Music Business.
Okay, y'all. So I found a drum loop that I like to use. It's different, unique, you know. So for me, I like my drums to sound a different way, a different kind of way. Sometimes I like live, sometimes I like the synth sound drums. Today I chose a live sounding drum. So I'll let you hear how it sounds. It comes from the kit Mode Audio Broke Beats from, I guess, Mode Audio. These are free loops downloaded with FL Studio. Once you get the, I think this was the Flex. It was some kind of downloading here. It's under the free section, so they give you a bunch of different loops, a bunch of different sounds. And just today, like I said, we're using FL Studio sounds, so I went into there, found some loops from. You can go under packs. Let's see, loops, and then like I said, Mode Audio Broke Beats. I'm sure you can download it from their website, but again, all of this stuff comes within FL Studio. So today we're using FL Studio sound. So these are technically third party inside of FL Studio. But again, you can make a drum loop sound however you want to sound. So anyway, I chose that. It sounded originally like this. This is the, let's see, this is the gravel throat, BPM 106. So let's see how it sounds. So that was one. That was two, and this is three. So again, this is for demonstration purposes. I like the way that sounded, so I had to, because it's a real drum. You can tell somebody's playing real drums, or at least they simulated it very well. So the tom or the drum is kicking. It's like a huge bass lift. So I can hear it here because I have my monitors on the side and I have my sub. I don't have my sub on unless I'm mixing. They would have been booming. But I have these Behringer K8s, which is like the KRKs, right here in my ears. You can't see them, but they're right here where my hands are, right? So I can hear that very well. Even though I have my system down low, I can tell how big that bass sounds. So what I did was, you know, drag it onto here, basically get it within the sample playlist. And I had to do a little bit of tweaking off camera. Because we're using stock plugins, so I had to kind of shape that kick the way I liked it to sound. Basically, I used the Fruity filter, just a preset on there, like a noise gate, because there are a few noise gates that I like to use, particularly from another program, software. But again, we're using FL Studio, so you can use the, anytime you need a noise gate, use the Fruity filter, Love filter. This is one of the best filters that are out on the market, period. Again, I use the splitter, frequency splitter. I think this is new from FL Studio now. I want to make sure this is from FL Studio, y'all. But regardless, you can use a splitter, or you can just simply use the FL limiter. The preset is ducking behind the voice, so I wanted to make it sound loud but not booming loud. And of course, I had to do a little tweaking right here in the EQ, just a basic bass lowering. So if you're not familiar with bass frequencies, they usually sit between, you can see it up here in the top where my mouse is. You can see my mouse. Why it's so small right now, I don't know, but in the hint panel, so bass usually sits between let's just say 20 hertz and 80 hertz for a drum, and like the bottom side, and the top side is usually from like 100 to up to about 200, depending on how you like your drum to sound. Again, I was trying to cut that, and since it's a loop already, I just took whatever percussion it was and lifted it up between the 200, just kind of did a high pass, or excuse me, high pass raise on it. So you know, you can shape that to make it sound however you want it to sound. This is the way I want it to sound. So in my tracks, I like to do three things. First of all, I like to label my track. So shortcut, it'll be Alt T. On Windows, my bad, I'm showing up. I got a lot of other stuff going on. Let's do this. So it'll be a time marker. So we're just gonna add one time marker, right? We're gonna call that N as an intro. This helps you to not only make the beat, but at the same time, understand what part of the song you're at. So right now, we want to use these drums for three different reasons. This is why I chose three, and I'm glad they had three because I don't have to chop them up myself. So this is going to be the intro. I'm going to span that out for 2. I'm going to use these drums right here for the verse, which I'm going to label right here at bar 9 as verse 1. And put that right there for 2 sets, 1, 2. Matter of fact, before I do that, let me just color them. I usually don't do this. I'm doing this for demo purposes though, so I can be familiar with what I'm doing, and so you can see. I'm just putting them as a random color, right? So I'm random colorize that one, add that one for 2, and then I'm going to colorize the third one, which is change color. So you have to, how I did that is you can change your own color. So I'm gonna just grab it, make it a red or something like that. This way you can differentiate what you're doing. So in the way this part right here will be called my bad, hold up. I'm gonna pull it back here, and we're gonna call this what I like to call tonal change. And back over here in part 25, excuse me, bar 25, we're gonna call this chorus 1, where I will take the same drum and copy that. Use the intro drums basically for the chorus drums. We'll do some, but the tonal change will be right here using these drums, and we'll see how it sounds in a moment. But basically, this will be our drum loop, and this is how we're going to work today. So choruses typically lead into the minute bar. We talked about that in other videos. Go check out those videos. So anyway, back to what we're doing. So what I'm going to do is double click that, start with the intro. Matter of fact, no, we'll just start right at the chorus, right? The highlight of the song. So what we'll do is choose a lot of different sounds to work with. We're going to start with our chords. We already got our drum loops. Everything's in order. This is going to be downhill from now, y'all. We're just going to go through some of the presets live here. You know, I don't have any particular, some I do have start, I think. You might see them from time to time, but we're just picking random sounds. So with me, I like to start with piano. I like electric pianos. So let's see, can we find something? Okay, y'all. So I chose for my top chords something deep and lush sounding, just because it's a live sound. And I wanted to sound more like a Nord, so I use this Flex electric piano. And there's a bit of tweaking, you know what I mean? If anybody's familiar with a Nord, it has a special kind of sound. If you're familiar with Stevie Wonder or Robert Glasser, you know, people like that, they play those live instruments and it has a certain type of feel, a certain type of warmth to it. So you can use any kind of chord you want to. If you don't know how to play chords or keys or you understand melodies, watch my master series on music theory here on the YouTube page. You can find that out. So again, it teaches all the scales from A to B to whatever. So here inside of the Flex though, you can take these macros and just kind of shape them to make it sound however you want to. So there's a bit of delay, but you can hear how it sounds a little bit. So it has a warmer feel to it. And again, you can always star those or go here to the top, save the preset. I'm gonna just save that one just because a lot of times I switch between them. So I'm just call that Robert Glasser, right? Forget how to spell his name, but I'm gonna just put it like that. You know what I'm talking about. And I'll put a star next to it so I know next time if I ever use this, which it already should be in here, maybe sometime to get erased or something like that. But you can star so you can know the instrument that you like the most or that you used the last time. So again, you can go here, file, save preset as, you know, click it already did it. I just showed you that. Or you can store it in a spare save. A bunch of different things you can do. Just save your presets, because if you switch to another one like here, it's gonna be gone when you come back. You see. So again, if you saved it to your hard drive or wherever you save your computer stuff at, you see I have a few here. I just save that and it'll pop right back up. It's like a, it's just an internal preset. So remember that. Again, so what I like to do typically is bounce down or export, if anybody's familiar with that. So what I'm going to do is right click, and this is where the chorus now, because I'm not going to use a bunch of different VSTs. I'm going to actually bounce this sound down. And since we have it saved, we can always come back to it if we need to. I'm going to bounce this, or what you call consolidate, inside FL Studio. So that was a right click, go down here to consolidate tracks, time selection. That means from where you have it at right now, otherwise it'll do a whole long thing. I typically like to, these are 3 different presets. They all do different things. Find out what they do. I like to use the wrap reminder because I work with my own loops and it's easier. It cuts off a lot of that reverb time. So this is what I like to do. You choose how you like to work. I've been working with FL Studio since version 4, so I'm familiar with the way I like to work with this thing. Go ahead and click start. It usually doesn't take long if you have decent memory. And if you have those presets like I showed you. I'm gonna go ahead and delete these. I don't need these anymore. So here's the actual sound. Let's see how it sounds. I'll press play. So you see it's very lush sounding as well. So what you would do is just, I like to double click it. I'm gonna send it to a track and I'll show you some mixing things later on. Right now, I'm just leave it like it is. Turn it down a little bit. That's all. So we're back here again. Awesome. So we're going over here to the next track. This time I'm gonna choose to use the DirectWave, simply because the DirectWave is more like a table synth. It's something that has been around in FL Studio for a while, but it's not been widely known. But DirectWave has been around for many generations of or versions of FL Studio, and is very little known, but it's very powerful. It was around before the VST craze, so a lot of times it mimicked a sound that you can shape yourself into, like a trident or a chord or a Roland or something like that. If you had those types of waves inside of your computer, you can make them a whole lot of different waves. There are several different waves. There's something here called shapes. So a lot of people don't know about this. If you just type in shapes, go here, shapes, right? Oh, and I got so much on my computer now, it's hard to find, right? But there are things called shapes. Let's go here, collapse all that. Envelopes. And so they have so if you go here inside of FL Studios, this window right here, go down to packs, go all the way down to shapes. You can take a shape and drop it into there and kind of play with it and tweak it until it sound more like a synth or a board or something like that. There are many different things you can do with this particular. It usually starts out sounding like that, but you have to do some working with it, and eventually you have a synth. So again, go over here to this window right here. This is all installed inside of FL Studio. Go to shapes, just take one, drop it in there, and you can stack them. You can do a whole bunch of different stuff, make it sound really angry or whatever, but you have to work with that for a while and go here into your samples, to your zones, kind of, pitch tune it and different things of that nature. But once you do, you will have a killer synth. Now, I'm not going to do that right here live on screen. I'm just showing you a little trick. What I'm actually going to do is, because they have some decent content now that they have made available for free. These things were not available for free at first. You had to find them, and a lot of times a lot of guys are keeping this stuff secret, and they still do. And so, but anyway, now they have made an instrument pack for you available, and it's for free. You can go here and just pick through some of these, and I'm just going to randomly pick one. I don't use it as much as I used to, but I'm gonna go here to the classic synth, right? Let's do this. Let's reset it first. again, you can go here within the presets. They label DW. You can do a whole lot of different stuff. I'm not going to get involved with that today, but this is DirectWave, so it's a DW. Just go through some of the presets, check out the ones that you like, and they'll already be stacked and, you know, pitched and everything for you. You can find that here in the FL Studio. This window right here is called, it has a little globe on it. If you see it right here, there's a globe, DirectWave, and then you can start to download some of these things. Whichever one has a cart on it, I think those are ones you have to pay for. But they had a whole lot of them. It was free. One was this one right here, FL Studio Web Instrument. It came with a ton of stuff. I think there was another one here as well. You may find it different on yours. You may like to pay for some. Go ahead and do that, support them. But anyway, I'm going to use this one right here called Classic Synth. Quite a little bit of delay, I'm gonna go here and play inside of the piano roll. I'm gonna do something different. Instead of playing, I'm gonna actually go here to the file. I have to find, I know the shortcuts, so I'm gonna find this one. It's called yeah, Riff Machine is a good one. Let's try Riff Machine. So I found a little riff that I like to work with. It sounds like this. So I'm going to throw that right here as like a backing melody, synth melody, bass melody, should I say. So Go in your settings. I have a lot of different settings. I'm not going to change it. You can find it here. I think it's in the general theme or the file thing, which is, let's see. I think it's under general. You can find it. Make it save a lot. Make it save a lot. I think it has like an autosave section. Let's find that really quick if we can. If we can, if not, yeah, I got a lot of different settings. I'm not going to change anything, but you can find that somewhere within your settings. Make it change to save it every. If you work a lot like I do, like you're always flipping with different kind of VSTs, you're working with different kind of loops, make it automatically save every 2 minutes, every minute, every kind of major thing you do. Because a lot of times you'll create this great sounding project, you'll forget to save a lot because you're so into it. And whether it be FL Studio or the program or something you did concerning memory, it'll crash like out of nowhere, or it'll freeze, and then it'll crash, and then your project is gone forever. You know, a lot of times in the older projects, FL Studio projects, you couldn't even reopen it up again. So they had this whole thing where you had to try to crack it. It was just really weird. So basically you want to keep from using a lot of different memory. That's why I bounce down a lot, only using WAV files. And then you want to make sure you maintain that save or auto save often. Let's continue. So I'm gonna go to another track, and now we're gonna try to pull up another kind of instrument. So we're just kind of doing this off the fly, and we're just making this up as we go. Now I'm going to choose for track 4, or pattern 4, should I say, Citrus. Now Citrus is a great sounding table synth. In my opinion, it is very versatile. It's like a Goliath of FL Studio if you did not know. Again, you want to be notorious with your presets and saving. It comes with like a million different presets. You know, you can go through here just for days searching things out. What I like about it though is it has a really sharp cutting sounding synth, meaning this is a FM synth, or I think frequency modular or something like that. It has a lot of different windows, and you can tweak this thing to really, this has been the major secret of FL Studio. Those who really know how to work with this thing, and it's going to take some time, and it could be a little frustrating. There is no real tutorial out here on this thing. This is the type of synth that you have to take your time to learn how to work. And if you do, and those who do, they don't use any other third-party plugins, because this right here is the master synth. It really is. Two things I don't like about it is, one, it sometimes detunes. So if you set this up in a proper way, it's good to always save your particular sound. Let's just say if you chose a random, let's just say ARP, right? 303-ish sound. And you went to change this some kind of way and you just got it perfect. It could potentially, when the next time you pull up your session, not sound exactly the same. So that's one of the things I don't like about it. So you make sure, like I said, you always save your presets. No matter what you do inside of FL Studio, save them. Save. I have to re-emphasize that save. And always bounce down or export your sound so you'll know exactly how it sounds if something changed. That way you always have your creation, and you can go back within the synth and try to redo that. But once you become a master of the Citrus, there's no turning back. So let's pick out a preset. I'm going to choose a pad. If not, I'll probably use it twice and use one of the synth strings or something like that. I like the platinum saw. It's always been a favorite of mine in there. But let's see what we can use today. I'm going to start with the pads. So if you know anything about keys and chords, if you're playing pads, you have to play like really far out. You have to use your fingers because the pad sound is so lush. You don't want to, because it uses up a lot of space, a lot of memory in your song. And so you want to just kind of, sometimes it's easy to just, if you think about those jungle songs, a lot of times during the 90s, the pad sounded so lush and great, but it was really just like a one, something like that. So pads take up a lot of space in your track, basically. So we're going to switch through here and just try to find something that I feel that works. And again, this is all for fun. So okay, I like this little preset here. It's called Space Singers. Sounds like this. I'm gonna just use it as a top synth in my background. I'm gonna just record it just like this. Simple as that. So I'm gonna bounce it down, right? So another thing you want to do once you start exporting or bouncing down your tracks within FL Studio, you want to go here, click this little tab right here. If you see my mouse, it turns into a finger. Click that little wave right there. You can either make it unique to do different things. We'll show you that maybe a little later. But you want to click this right here, fit to tempo. Go down here, and of course you can change to any speed you want to, but the speed of this project is BPM 102, so let's just go 102. Same thing here. This makes it easier a lot of times to do other things with, and that way your project doesn't come out of sync or with time. So it locks it to okay, y'all, due to the magic of camera editing, I'm back. So I had to log off to change my audio interface. So now I'm back over here on FL Studio Audio. Like I said, when I'm producing, I'm using one of my racks or something like that. I just can't stand that delay, you know, simply because I hadn't figured out how to, you know, stream and or record the screen and use all of my stuff at the same time. So it makes it difficult. The way I produce, you know, I'm rarely in this piano role like most people. You know, I use my instruments, like particularly my keyboard, if I'm not using anything else. So I'm playing by hand, and that delay is just not going to work out for me if I'm playing live, because a lot of my stuff is not quantized. And what I mean by that is you got to find a groove within the track, you know, and if I'm producing like that, it's fine. You know, we're using piano roll, whatever. Some sounds sound different. My signature sound does not sound like that. So I learned a lot by just playing by hand, and it gives it a different feel. And so, of course, like we left off at, I'm gonna actually leave this for a second video. I did sing a few hooks right here and different kind of vocals. And I came up with some more different kind of changes in the chorus, the tonal change, the verse, and of course the intro. So anyhow, and switched some of the instruments around. But my camera's not working right now as well, so I'm just have to show you right by just going through some of the patterns. Now, you know how Windows is. You know, you might have a Windows, you might have a Mac. I have both. I typically, this is my workhorse, so it's a Dell. But for whatever reason, from time to time, it doesn't like my camera. So, the hell with it, all I can say. So anyway, let's just play what we have, and I'll show you. These are all stock plugins. I'm not using any loops. These are all samples. Only thing that I didn't use from FL Studio was probably this tambourine sound. No, I think this is actually from FL Studio. This particular tambourine sound, which it says cymatics right there. But other than that, I tried to actually make it with this one, but it's just some different things have a different groove. But other than that, all this stuff is, it doesn't really make it a difference. It's just my preference. I could have used that. You probably won't even hear it in the background. Just me, I like to do stuff like that. Other than that, this is everything I use. These are the vocals that I recorded. As you can see, I recorded right here from my Behringer mic into the Blackline Audio 18 preamp, and to my Composer Pro XL. What the hell is that? That is a compressor limiter. I guess it's like some kind of rack. Anyway, into the Ultra Gain, back into the Scarlett. So I have a rack set up where I keep my vocals a certain way. You can switch it up and change it. I set it like that, I don't know, months ago, probably a couple years ago, and it still sounds good. Only thing I do is from time to time adjust the volume depending on how loud or soft I'm talking. So anyway, everything else is FL Studio other than my own vocals. And go back to unsorted. These are all still FL plugins. There's still the Flex. There's still the 3X oscillator, which is like a 303. All these are basically table synths. They replicate table synths. The guitar, or the boo bass guitar, or the DirectWave, which is, like I told you, is like a virus, T1 virus synth. The Citrus, then of course, like I said, we got the effects chain.
Are you tired of the music industry's games? Ready to take back control and build the success you deserve? Surviving the music business is your tactical step-by-step guide to outsmarting the system, harnessing the power of digital marketing, forging an unstoppable support network, and developing an unbreakable entrepreneurial mindset. Stop letting the industry hold you back. Unlock your true potential and make your music dreams a reality.
Which are different takes down here. I didn't use them all. Sometimes you comp. I'll show you that in a mixing session. But right now, let's just play it from the top, I guess. What we're gonna do is solo out. You already heard the drum session. So what we're gonna do is I came up with a different pattern for the intro. As far as I think that was an EP or Rose we were using. It has that smooth sound, right? The second one went like this. We use that throughout the whole track. Remember, that sound came from a preset we call Robert Glasser Electro Piano Bright. And of course, we play with a few of these and make it sound sort of like a Nord or like a real FM EP, or at least, similar. This is, what the hell is this? I don't know. Let's play it. So that came out of, I think, our DirectWave, which is DSK Classic Synth. Again, all this stuff is free for downloading in FL Studio. See, this one sounded like this. I got it muted out, so I'm not using it right now. There's one thing I did do right here, which was there are tonal gaps between the change ups. So I add from time to time, if there's some kind of musical gap or vocal gap, a fill in. And so I use this sound effect. It's called Rise Zipper. Sounds like that, but when you play it back, it sounds like this. That's it. It just fills in that gap that changes up from time to time. And then I put another one right here and I reversed it. So it's the same thing, but now it's reversed. I'm gonna click it so you can see it. Or, you know, maybe where I put it at over here. Yeah, so this one was reversed. It's the same one. It sounds like this now. Playing it back, it sounded like this. Again, that's to fill in the gaps between the audio, where it changes up harshly. Kind of makes it a little bit smoother. Other than that, like I said, I use those tambourines. Let me just close this window so we can focus. And these are the same exact patterns of tambourines. They're just played different. Should I say they're the same sample played differently. So if you played a tambourine, I got one right here. So, you know, tambourines sound different depending on, you know, how you play it. I didn't actually play a tambourine. What I did, like I said, we're using all FL Studio stuff, so just painted them differently. First one sounds like this. It just loops back and forward. Second one sounds like this. And the third one, this here, sounds like this. And playing them all together, they make a different kind of tonal change under each section, the verse, the really this is whole 16 or whole 8, depending on how you count it. I just like to call them tonal changes. So this is a whole verse till you get to the chorus. So verse A, verse B, and then of course chorus. But this, you can count that as a whole 8 or a whole 16, depending on how you know, write your verse or whatever. But it's 16 bars, so, and it's still a verse. So this is verse side A, verse side B of verse 1. And I just call them tonal changes because I know after the first 8 or after the first 4, depending on how you produce it, you want to make it sound somewhat differently to keep the attention span depending on how your song sounds. Anyway, other than that, going down here, we changed up the bass line. So the bass line, I'm gonna have to play it back from here, so it won't take too long. It sounds like this. This is the back side of the verse. I mean, back side of the bass. Remember, we're playing a slap bass that came from the boo bass right here. Just doom, doom, doom. And so this is a layered bass. So it's the same bass, but it just played an octave lower, sounding like this. And adding in that back part. So that's it. Other than that is vocals. I'm gonna actually, like I said, we'll get into that in another session. So I'm gonna mute out these vocals. And we'll play it from the beginning and to show you, you know, how to get a good sound out of FL stock plugins. And by the way, none of the plugins have any, you know, real sauce on them. I put it like that. You see everything's blank except for the drums, which I had to get under control. Other than that, I think I used a phaser on the little sound effects and the tambourine. simply because I needed it to sound quiet, but we'll get into more of the effects. As you see, these are all the tracks that I use. Let me just brighten it up. And there are no effects other than the ones I just showed you. That was on the bass, but this is a compressor. So anyway, we hadn't been mixing yet. These are all just tracks that I've used. And so they have no effects on them. We'll get into that in another video. Right now, I'm just showing you how we got sound out of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plugins. Again, that was the Flex, the 3X oscillator, the Boo Bass, DirectWave, and the Citrus. And again, sounds like this. So that's it, my friend. That is how you get a platinum sound out of stock plugins in FL Studio. This has been Terrence for iKey Music. Join me in the next video, but we'll be discovering how to mix this, because like I said, I think I'm gonna go ahead and, I thought it was kind of funky, put this out. I got a little vocal right here. I might add a little vocal coming up, but anyway, this is basically how to get you a good sound out of FL Studio using stock plugins in it. Like I said, it's not even mixed. Put that on a good artist, and get it mixed, man. You got you a platinum hit right there. But anyway, thank you for watching this video. Tune in the next video, and I'll see you later. Peace.